welcome. Thank you for joining me today. If this is your first day joining me or your first time joining me, let me introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am the CEO and founder of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps childcare business owners and directors find success while balancing high quality research-based standards. I focus on business practices. So many of us in this industry know nothing about business. So that's really what I'm doing. I bring to you guys. Just like what I'm doing today, I am bringing you guys this presentation on helping you really see your childcare centers as a business, which is what they are. So many of us aren't business people, and I know I say it a lot, but so many of us are teachers, we're moms, we're directors, and we go into business in the childcare industry not realizing what it's going to take or what we really, really need. So my goal with Childcare Business Professionals is to help you guys learn how to run a successful center and from a business perspective, balance those two worlds. I have been a director, I've been an owner, I've done it all in a childcare center. My goal is to help each one of you guys just learn how to find that balance between being a business person who's running a successful center and that person who is putting the children first. The children are always my number one focus and my number one concern. So I'm also the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast, and I am also a childcare center owner. I've owned several centers. I have started centers from the ground up. I had one built. I've taken an existing center over and I reopened a center that shut down, and I've done an in-home. So I've done a lot. Right now I'm looking at purchasing another center, which will actually be my fifth center. So I currently only own one. I have sold a couple, but I am looking at purchasing my fifth. So I've done a lot in this industry, and I've closed down centers, opened them, helped other owners save their centers. So I have a lot of experience and knowledge that I want to bring to you guys. So thank you so much for being here today. Let me know that you're here today. Say hello. Give me, if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. I don't think my comments are coming up, so I am going to bring this up on my phone just so I can make sure that I am keeping up with you guys. Let me just turn this down really quick so I'm not listening to myself talk too. But just want to make sure that I can interact. Interacting, you guys will get the most out of this the more interactions we do. So please make sure to just say hello, ask questions as I go. I am more than happy to answer your questions, and say hi as you're in there. It gets lonely on the side of the camera. So welcome again, and I want to start today with a recession-proof your childcare center by going over what your week is going to look like. So I do this presentation for you guys every couple of months. I do it 2 or 3 times a year that I bring this to you. I decided to do this in December just so that you guys had a good handle on enrollment for the new year. So this is a really good time to put a lot of this into practice so that you can just get January started off right, and we can forget 2020 and go into 2021 as successful as we possibly can. Now, there is a workbook that goes into this unit. What I will be doing is creating a unit in this Facebook group. If you go under the tabs and click on units, inside that unit you will find a workbook that I've created for you guys, and I will be uploading that in a little bit. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'll go and get all of that in line, put all that together for you guys. Every day the videos I do will be up in those units for replay. So you'll be able, if you can't catch the whole thing live every day, you will be able to replay the videos. I'm also going to have a string of homework that you can do that just to make sure you get engaged. If you really want to get more out of this week and this presentation that I'm doing for you guys, make sure you do the homework. It is really important to just get really deep, do all the things in order to get the success that you need out of this. If you watched my Mindset Monday this morning, I talked a lot about coaching versus training. The reason that I do the homework and the workbook and everything for you is because I know that training is only 15% effective. If I can include my trainings and add some coaching, I take that statistic from 15 to 90%. So that's why training and coaching together are so very important, which is why I want you to do the homework. I want you to engage, you know, let me know you're here. Ask me questions as I go. Comment, leave me comments in the comments. Just get some engagement going on so that you are getting the most out of this week. And you know, I love doing this for you guys. I have a passion. I was once a failing owner. I know how awful it feels and how lonely. It feels so lonely when there's just nobody there for you and you just feel like you're in this on your own and you feel like you're facing bankruptcy and everything is falling apart. I've been there. I know how incredibly lonely that feels. So that's part of why I do this. I want to help as many people as I can out there not to feel that way. So again, under the units tab, you'll have homework, you'll have daily recaps, you're going to have the schedule for the week, and I will also put the videos so you'll be able to replay it. Now, this is a series that I normally do charge for. Because of that, everything comes down on next Tuesday. So it will be up Monday through Friday of this week, but Tuesday of next week, everything will be coming down. So just make sure that you go through this series before Tuesday of next week. It'll be there for you guys to catch up on over the weekend. I know we're all busy and working, so I will make sure it is available for you over the weekend. So let me go over our overview for the week and what we'll be talking about on recession-proofing your child care center. These are all different pillars that I've put into practice to help ensure that my center stays at its capacity and that I have a wait list to always draw off of, right? And there's really a lot that goes into this. And if you watched me earlier this morning, I did talk about how I'm actually writing a book on this. I have been putting a book together. That'll be out, but probably in the middle of next year. And it's going to really, so there's a lot, you guys. There's enough of this for it to go into a book. But I am going to give you a bird's eye view as much as I possibly can this week so that you have that information on what you need to help your centers be the most successful that they possibly can when it comes to that enrollment process. So what we're going to look at is what I came up with as my 5 pillars. What are the 5 most important pillars that I look at in order to keep enrollment in my child care center? So it's really just drawing those people to you, right? That is the number one key. We want the people to see us first. We want to be the ones that they choose when they do the tour, right? And before they even get to the tour, how do we get them to our door? Especially in this day and age with COVID going on, how do we get them to pick up the phone and give us a call, right? So that's what we're going to be looking at. Today we will be going over pillar 1, which is vision. And if you listen to my Mindset Mondays, if you're one of my members, you guys know I will always be just hammering vision. Vision is the foundation for everything. It really is. And you guys know a structure without a strong foundation is going to crumble, right? If your center is crumbling, it's probably because you don't have a clear, concise, contagious vision. And I'll go into that a little bit more in a minute. The next thing that you're going to be looking at is your center's culture and brand, right? What is your center's culture and what does the brand look like? Do you even have a culture for your center? I guarantee you do. Every child care center, every business in this nation, it has a culture. But is it an intentional culture? A lot of times it might be a culture that it's not a good culture. So you want to be intentional about the culture. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. I'll explain to you what I mean by the brand, the culture, and really go in depth on how do you engineer that. You want to really engineer that. Let's see. And I'm sorry, guys. I am looking at my notes just went away from me. So what we'll also be talking about tomorrow is how are parents going to find you, right? That draw. How are they going to, that first line of communication that's going to help them come in and find you, which is your, which is basically how are you seen, your advertising and all of that. Then we're going to talk about once you get their attention, How are you going to draw them in? How do you communicate with them? How do you bring them into your world, right? So that's what we'll be talking about next. And then the tour. We'll be going over the tour. What information do you want to give them in the tour? What do I give out during the tour? How should your tour look? How structured should it be? The last thing we'll be looking at is your, how do you follow up? Once you've done the tour and the parent leaves, what does your follow-up process and procedures look like? So very important to follow up. Huge, probably the most important day, which we'll talk about that on Friday. So today we're going to go into vision, and we'll make it pretty brief today, just the bird's eye view of setting up that vision and that culture. And really, once you get that, how do you let your community know, right? Very important. In order to get enrollment, you want to be known throughout your community. And that's where your vision. You want to make sure that the people within your community knows your vision. And when I say community, one of the things I want you guys to think about is I live in a very small town, right? The center I own right now is in a very small town, but we have had centers in bigger areas and smaller areas and whatnot. But so for me, when I say community, I can think of that as my entire city, right? But for some of you who live in really, really big cities, like, maybe San Francisco, that you cannot think of as community. That you've got to think of like the whole city. You're not going to get somebody who lives, in, I don't know, I can't even think of some of the neighborhoods in San Francisco. Well, basically, it could be a 40-minute commute from one neighborhood to another, right? So when you think of your community, I want you to think of your surrounding area, like everybody who can access you. So in many of your cases, it's going to be a neighborhood. It's not going to be your entire community. I'm right outside of the Reno area. So we are considered like Northern Nevada here, the Reno, Carson City area. So for me, if I was thinking of Reno as my community where it takes people 40 minutes to get here, that would be really unrealistic. So when you think of community, think of the people within the vicinity that are going to be able to use your center as their childcare, right? So it might be your neighborhood. So you do want to have that brand and that culture and your vision just out there. That's the first thing I want you to think about, is how are you making sure that your vision for your center is just out in the community? And how do you even come up with a vision, right? That is the first thing that we're going to really look at. I'm going to give you a bird's eye view. I do an entire week course on vision, on creating your vision, turning it into a vision board. How do you make it contagious for your employees? How do you sell it to your employees? How do you make it their own? And how do you make it come alive in your center? And for you too. So important. If you're burnt out, if your staff is burnt out, you need to bring it back to the vision. The vision is what will keep you going. It's what keeps me up in the morning. When COVID got really bad, things got very scary. The thing that got me up in the morning and going to my center every day was my vision. And as an owner, I have a director. I could have left her to deal with it on her own, but I just knew as the owner during this time when my numbers went from 115 a day to 27, I had to be there for my staff. And as stressful as it was, it would have been so easy for me to just clam up, right? During that time, it was in March, I believe. My husband had actually just had a series of 3 strokes, and he's on dialysis. So I was dealing with his caregiving. He was still in a wheelchair at that time. He lost 50% of his hearing, and he had had 3 strokes. And during that time, I was dealing with that, and then COVID hit. And there was a big part of me who just thought to myself, I just can't do this. I am so overwhelmed. There is no way I can get up in the morning, care for my husband, do all the things, because I was basically his primary caregiver at the time, and go to my center, be there for my staff, be the pillar and the rock that they needed to go to, because now they're scared about their livelihood, right? So I was in a position where it was really hard, and it was really scary for me to get up and go every single day. And I just, I had so much going on in my home life that I just didn't know how I was going to do it. So I turned to my vision, and I have my vision board. I have my vision written out, and I really just reminded myself every day, this is my life's mission, right? This is what I am driven towards. This is what God put me on this planet for. I have to stay true to my vision. It was my vision that got me up and going. It's my vision that keeps my staff loyal to me. It's my vision that brings families to me. It's the reason I have a 300 child wait list, because everything revolves around my queen bee. We call it our queen bee, which is our vision, right? That is the queen bee. Everything serves the queen. And that's what got me out of bed and to my center every day through COVID when the going got really, really tough. And I know for a lot of us, it still is. So I'm going to guide you through how to create a really good vision. And if you guys download the worksheet, which again will be under the units tab, and you will see the unit on increasing enrollment in your child care center. And when you see that, if you complete that, it will give you some guided questions. So the first one is going to be, ask yourself, why did you get into early childhood education in the first place? Why is ECE your passion? Why do you want to care for the children? Like, why? Why is that important to you? What do you see as your legacy? This is one of my favorite ones. I really like to think of myself as, when I'm 80 years old or 90 years old and I am looking back on my life, what do I want to see? What legacy do I want to live by? It won't matter what house I lived in. It won't matter what car I'm driving. None of that's going to matter to me, right? And when I look back at my life now, it doesn't matter what car I drove at 25. It doesn't matter who I was then. What is going to matter to me is the difference I made in the world, the lives that I impact, what I did. So ask yourself, when it comes to ECE, what is your legacy? What do you want to do? Mine is, I want to make sure that all children have the opportunity to attend a quality childcare program regardless of their socioeconomic status. So I want to make sure that all children have that opportunity regardless of their race, their income level, their neighborhood. Every child in this nation in this world, should have that opportunity, right? And that's why I do this. That's why I'm on here giving you guys this information for free, because that is my vision for my business, my company, and my life, right? It's what gets me out of bed when the going gets tough. This is my mission. This is why God put me on this planet. So just think of it in that. That's really what you want to look at, is what is the purpose, the bigger picture of why you are a child care center owner or a director. It's not that you want to make money, right? If it is, this is not the industry for you. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Again, if you watched me this morning, I said there's nothing wrong with owners making money. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or a director making a very good income. But if you want to get rich quick, this is not the industry for you. This is not the industry. So just really think about, why are we serving children, right? What is it? What legacy do you want to live? That is what you're going to turn into your vision. And that's what you're really going to just make it huge. The other thing I want you to think about is, if you could wave a magic wand and you could just form your perfect center, your center today, you have a magic wand, you wave it, and it becomes the perfect center. I want you to write for me, what would it look like? What would it smell like? So imagine yourself walking through the door. What would you see? What would you hear? What would you smell even? I want details. I mean details, right? This is for you. I want you to imagine yourself walking around every classroom that you own. Every single one. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? Get really specific. Okay. When I did this, it was 4 or 5 pages long, typed. I don't handwrite very much. It was typed. So just imagine, just really fantasize. You want to create your fantasy center. I have to tell you, the first time I did this, it was about 6 or 7 years ago. And last year, the first time I brought this presentation to you guys, I went through my old notes and I found it. And the coolest thing is, what I thought my fantasy center would look like is exactly what my center looks like today when I walk through.